One of my favorite quotes that we have in the Big E book, I think it's by like Nelson Mandela or something. I don't know. I either win or I learn. I never lose.
Right. Right. And just like we talk about with good and bad in the world, there is no good and bad. There's perpetual learning, with karma keeping everything in balance.
Everything
right?
in check.
We learn from our mistakes.
Right.
And we grow from our achievements. Right. And a lot of people think it's material, but it's not. It's spiritual and soul building achievements of love and compassion. So welcome to Augmented Teachings, where we talk about the things that inspire us to think better, feel better, and in turn be better. I'm your host, Todd Michael Jackson, and I'm here with my co-host, Brandi Pagano. How you doing, Brandi?
Oh, I'm so lit up and ready to go. How are you?
I'm so excited because we had a hiatus because we had some mic problems, but we got some new mics and it's working out better. And we can catch up on things that we weren't able to touch on last week.
Yeah, and there's been a lot happening.
It has been a lot happening. So one of the things I wanted to cover to start the show is the soul's journey. Because a lot of people don't realize the importance of our soul and the purpose of our soul. We think that we're here to our vocation is our job here on earth, and it's not. Our actual job is much more in depth than that. And I want to really tap into that and explain the soul's journey. So first of all, God is everything, and God creates souls. They're neutral, they're new, and they have no wisdom and no experiences. God creates these souls as companions to share with God. But these souls have nothing in them. Even though they reside in an ocean of benevolent love, they have not learned love themselves because they have no wisdom and experiences to draw from. So, as a soul is born from God, a soul will start to move around heaven. We'll call it heaven, right? And the soul will start to learn things, find wisdom here, find wisdom there, have experiences, and create a benevolence within itself to share an experience with God in the future time, because the soul can move freely. Since God created it can move freely and to and fro and do what it wants to do. There's a small problem though. As the soul learns in heaven, it learns very slowly. It takes a very, very long time for that soul to learn. So one of the avenues we have as a soul is to pick a classroom to learn in. One of those classrooms is Earth. Now, God did not make just one classroom and then wipe his hands and be like, okay, we're done. No, God made many classrooms for us to learn in. And a lot of times souls will pick classrooms that are younger, have younger species, and are still working in the basics of development. And then we have species that are a little farther along, such as Earth.
In their evolution.
And then you have other classrooms where those souls, that species has been there much longer, and they are more developed, and you learn higher levels of wisdom and compassion. So Earth is just a classroom for learning. And why do we do this? Because we learn so much faster in these material classrooms.
I think because we have more opportunities.
Yes, we have more opportunities, and there's more resistance.
Right.
Because in heaven, everything's so good all the time.
Yes.
It's hard to learn when everything's always thumbs up. Here we have struggle, which helps us learn compassion for other souls. We have conflict that helps us develop compassion and wisdom.
Right.
And we come here so that we can learn so much faster. These classrooms are almost like an express lane for growth. And when people realize, you chose to come to this planet, so now you know that you're here as a labor of love to develop your soul to eventually give back to God as a beautiful companion full of wisdom and experiences.
Yes. And when I really started to understand my purpose here, one of my affirmations, because I love affirmations, I write them every day, and they really help me to reprogram my consciousness here on planet Earth.
Yes.
So one of my original affirmations, when I first realized that that is the purpose of my life,
Yes.
is that I am on the fast track of growth.
Yes.
And it's interesting because the way, from my experience, my research, my understanding is affirmations are helping us to program our experience.
Yes.
And so because I declared that as my truth,
Right.
the universe, by the law of attraction, has given me so many opportunities to experience that conflict so that I can grow, so that I can have a faster experience of that growth through my spiritual evolution here.
Right. So I understand fully what you're saying, and it's absolutely true. God wants us to succeed. God actually gives us its so-called hand, right, to help us learn, especially if you know that your purpose now is to learn, not to struggle, but to learn empathy and compassion and self-love. Then if you literally reach out and just say, I know what my purpose is, I need help in it, God will be Johnny on the spot and help you with that. Because God wants us to learn unconditional love, because that is the goal. And that's all we have to do is know. And the hard part is knowing. Knowing's half the battle. Once you know, then you can accomplish so much more in this lifetime and lifetimes after this.
Because you have a deeper awareness of what it is that you're doing.
Right. So many people think that, oh, I'm here to be a laborer in this condition, and that's not your goal. That's the backdrop to your true goal, which is self-development and compassion, and learning wisdom and bringing back experiences to share with the Creator.
Well, that's like, I think, these roles that we have in this life, those are just characters that we get to play.
Right. And right now we're podcasters, right?
I know. It's so awesome.
That's our character at this moment, in this time, in this reality, in this life.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So it's so much fun when you get like a little insight, like, oh man, that's the whole deal. That's what's on the test. Yeah, I'm supposed to develop you're supposed to develop your soul. It's not your productivity at work. It's how you develop and how you treat others while you're there at your job.
And so that reminds me, it's all about who you become.
Yes.
Not what you end up having in life. It's about who you become on your journey. Right.
It's who you become and how much you've gained in your experience and your wisdom. And that's the goal. And the thing is back home, it takes in heaven, it takes so long for a soul's journey to develop to the point of unconditional love. When we come here, it takes much less time, even though it takes sometimes hundreds of lifetimes to do it. It's way shorter than not coming here. Not coming here, it's going to take you hundreds of thousands of years. Here, 100 lifetimes, isn't much. You're only living 80 years, if you're lucky. So I think when people realize that you chose to come here as a fast track to developing your soul and being a beautiful companion for God.
Absolutely.
So one of the affirmations that you had said was,
I am grounded in the truth of who I am.
Grounded in the truth of who I am. And that's so important, because the truth of who you are is a piece of God. And when you realize that your soul's journey and your purpose is to learn benevolence, acceptance, overcome judgment and fear, then you realize, oh my gosh, I'm much bigger than I thought I was.
Yes.
And it's so important to accept that so that you can start a new trajectory.
Yes.
In your life at this moment right here.
Right. And because that helps us to shift our perspective. And when we can do that, then we know exactly who we are, and we're using that creative power that we are to create. Right.
And little tiny movements right now in your life, right now today, can make huge trajectory movements 10 years from now. Because now you're learning, oh my gosh, this is the real goal. I'm here in a classroom to test out what I've learned already, put it to the test, and to learn. So we're being tested and learning at the same time. Always. So it's not an or thing, it's an and thing.
It's an and thing.
And thing.
Absolutely.
Right. We're being tested and learning at the same time. And carrying that wisdom with us from lifetime to lifetime, because the things we learn, like say we learn humor, right? We don't remember the actual events that created it.
Right.
But that humor is in our soul. So in the next lifetime, it continues.
Yeah.
That humor is innate. It becomes part of us. The specifics of creating it aren't there, but the actual skill is.
And that because that feeling stays with us.
Right. And I think that as you have this understanding, you realize that there's some people you'll come across and they'll not be as developed. They won't have the same skill sets that you may have.
Right.
And you'll find some souls that have more skill sets. They have more empathy and compassion and they've overcome judgment and fear. And you're like, that's not a better person. And the other person, the first person, wasn't a worse person. They're just more wise. They've been here longer. They're more skilled.
They've had more practice.
Right. Just as a second grader isn't a bad student if they don't know algebra. They're just not there yet. Right. So we don't judge. We just realize this person has the skills I like. I'd like to learn more of those skills.
Yes.
This person has skills I'm not really jiving with. And we just kind of move away from that. We don't judge. Younger souls have not learned as much. They're not as wise, and it's okay. We just we gravitate to where we want to be.
And I think having that understanding really helps us to maneuver through this life experience so much easier with love and compassion. Because I like to think about, when we have a toddler.
Yes.
And they're learning how to walk.
Right.
We don't get mad at them because they don't know how to do it yet. We have this understanding that they're still learning and developing.
Right.
Well, so are we all as a soul.
Right. And that's why this podcast is created, to overcome judgment. Some souls are going to gravitate towards fear and some are going to be like, no, I shun fear. I'm okay. And it's okay. These souls that are doubling down on fear aren't bad people or bad souls. They just haven't learned yet. So you don't have to be hard on them. They will get it eventually. It just takes time. All souls will keep coming here until there's no need to come here anymore. And God's grace and infinite patience allows you to come here as many times as you want. No questions asked.
Right.
So if you're wallowing in fear and just can't get out of it, it's okay. Do your best to overcome it, but you keep coming back until you do, because you don't want to give your soul back to God still feeling that fear and judgment and hate of others.
Right. And I don't think that you even can.
Right.
Because you're no longer going to be a vibrational match.
Right.
And so like attracts like. And if you are not vibrating at the thing that you choose to become, it's not going to happen.
Right. And not only that, the less times you're here, the less you have to offer God as experiences and wisdom and compassion.
And that's why it's a choice to be here.
Choice to be here and choice to come back.
Yes.
When you realize, there's still some things I need to learn. I choose to come back and correct any mistakes or malfeasances that I've had in the past life or lifetimes. So we come to a point in our lives where we look at what we want to do in our life, and we'll look at what we want to see and be. And we all get there. And when we realize, okay, you take a deep breath and you realize, okay, now I know what's on the test. I really need to ask for help. You have guardian angels. You have God always right there, just waiting for you with a net under you at all times. You just have to reach out with your mind and ask, okay, how can I achieve the things that I just heard? And God will be right there waiting and willing, because now you know God exists and the help is there when you need it.
And I'd like to add something to that.
Please do.
Thoughts plus actions equals manifestations.
Yes.
Because we can have the thought.
Yes.
But unless we take action, we're not going to gain that knowledge, that experience. So listening to podcasts like this, that's taking action.
Yes.
Meditating.
Yes.
Doing mindfulness. Whatever activities you can do to practice and to get in touch and get in alignment, that's going to have a manifestation attached to that.
Right. Right.
So you're going to have change.
Yes.
And growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as you say, when you pray,
You're speaking to God.
you speak to God. But when you meditate,
You're listening to God.
you're listening to God.
So you have to take action.
So as it says in the Bible, be still and know that I am God.
Absolutely.
So when you're still, you shut your senses down and know when you get these feelings and these energies, I am God. That's what it says. And that is a true statement.
Yes, it is.
As we learn, all my information came from NDE researching, near death experience researching, because I had questions and I want to know answers. Not could be this, could be that. I want to know black and white answers of how things work. And
By people who had those experiences.
by people who had those experiences and brought knowledge back from the other side. And that's so important, especially in my learning. I was like, oh my God, these people are all saying the same things, and it's beautiful. And I have an understanding, not dogma, not religion, but actual people that have been there and said, this is what I experienced, and this is what God was like. And I'm like, that's what I need to know.
Well, I'm so glad that you did that.
Yes, thank you. And I'm glad you're here with me, creating this experience for ourselves and for our listeners.
Well, and I think you have a really great way of explaining what I intuitively feel and experience.
Yes.
And I think that's a beautiful relationship.
It is. And we augment each other.
Yes, we do.
Right, because the things you feel, sometimes I put into words, and then sometimes the words I put out, you can explain through feelings. And and then we work with each other, helping each other and those listeners who happen to be here with us.
And everybody wins.
And everybody, it's a win, win, win.
Always.
So I think I've accomplished all the things I want to talk about today. How about you?
I think so too. I think we had a great conversation.
We did, and hopefully it helps somebody out there. So always have love and laughter in your heart and keep moving forward.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.